Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. In this video, we're going to be explaining the concept of the sukoon. So to understand the sukoon, we need to understand that in Arabic language, we have consonants, which are speech sounds where the different parts of your mouth are touching each other. And these consonants are represented by letters. So the letter fa, the letter ba, the letter jim, the letter sin, and this goes on. And then we also have vowels. Vowels are speech sounds where the different parts of your mouth are not touching each other in order to create them. And in the Arabic language, there are three vowels, the a, I, u. And we covered that these three vowels are represented in the Arabic language with what's called harakat. Okay? And harakat are these little accents that are put either on top of the word or on top of the letter, I should say, or below the letter to represent a specific vowel sound. So we have the dhamma, which represents the sound u, so bu. We have the kasra, which represents the sound e, so b. And then we have the fatha, which represents the sound a, like ba. Now that being said, we also have long vowels. We covered long vowels in a previous video. So now, how does this tie in with the sukoon? Well, we have to understand something, which is that there's something called diacritics in languages. Diacritics are not found in all languages. In English, there are no diacritics. But in certain languages like French, there are something called diacritics. So what are diacritics? Diacritics are often loosely called accents, okay? Okay, and they're the various little dots and squiggles which in many languages are written above, below, or on top of certain letters of the alphabet to indicate something about their pronunciation. So for example, in French, we have l'accent aigu, l'accent grave. We have the letter E, and sometimes the letter E in French, sorry, will have an accent aigu, which will change its pronunciation, and sometimes it will have an accent grave, which is going to change its pronunciation a little bit. So sometimes those who've seen French writing will see that sometimes they're going to find an E that has this little thing on top. So this thing on top is called diacritic. So likewise in Arabic, we have diacritics. We have a lot of them. So we covered a few of them, which were the dhamma and the kasra and the fatha. So these three here are a type of diacritic, okay? But there are more types of diacritics in the Arabic language. And as I covered, a diacritic is any little dot or squiggle that is placed above, below, or on top of certain letters to represent something about their pronunciation. So now we can understand, inshallah, the concept of the sukoon. So we covered that a letter, to represent that it has a vowel, you put a mark on it, right? You either put a dhamma or a fatha or a kasra. Now, what if you want to represent, or what if you want to indicate that a letter has no vowel? What if you want to indicate that a letter has no vowel, meaning that it's just a consonant without any vowel to it? The way that you do that in the Arabic language is by putting a sukoon. The sukoon is usually a little circle like this, but sometimes you're also going to see it being a half circle. Okay, so it's either going to be a circle, a full circle like this, or sometimes you're also going to see it as a type of half circle. So when you see a letter that has this specific diacritic on top of it, which is called a sukoon, it indicates that this letter has no vowel sound to it, but rather you're just going to hold the shape of the letter with your mouth. So for example, here we have a ba in blue, and that ba has a fatha on it. So we know that this ba is going to be ba. You're going to pronounce it as ba. Now, on the other hand, in red, we see that there's a ya there. But that ya, it has what diacritic on it? What's the sign that's on it? What's the accent that's on it? It's a little sukoon. So what does this mean? This means that I'm not going to add a vowel to the ya, but rather I'm going to make the shape of the ya with my mouth, and I'm going to pronounce this entire thing as bay. Bay. So I just made the shape of a ya with my mouth, but I didn't actually add a vowel to it. I didn't say baya or bayi or bayu. I just said bay. Why? Because the ya has sukoon on it, and the sukoon, which is a little circle there, indicates that it has no vowel sound. Same thing here. Here we have a ba with a fatha on it, but then it's followed by a waw. That waw has, again, a sukoon on it. So I'm going to hold the shape of a waw with my mouth, and I'm going to say bow, bow. But I'm not going to say bawa or bayi or bayu, but I'm going to say bow. And here we have a final example. again, we have a ba, but that ba is followed by another ba. But that other ba, it doesn't have any vowel on it. It doesn't have a fatha that represents the a sound. It doesn't have a kasra that represents the e sound. And it doesn't have a dhamma, which represents the u sound. But rather it has sukoon, which means that I'm just going to hold the shape of the ba with my mouth and I'm going to say bab, bab, bab. So this is what the sukoon is. The sukoon is a diacritic that's placed above the letter to represent that this letter does not have any vowel, but rather you're just going to say the consonants. So you're just going to hold the shape of the letter, but you're not going to add a vowel to it. So that is what the sukoon is in the Arabic language.